Hello everybody, welcome to Ultraviolet Presents. It is Kris again, and I am joined today by the most fabulous and extra David Leon.
Hello.
Hello David, how are you?
Quite fabulous today, thank you. How are you?
Very well, very well. It's good to have you. So David, we've got you booked for a show at the Classic Grand.
Indeed.
And that's on the 5th of July. So we're looking forward to that. But for those at home watching, why don't you tell us a bit about David Leon's origin story? How did you get from the womb to this?
Oh, what an invasive question.
Sorry, David's mum.
So I think I grew up very much on classical music up until about the age of 14. And at that point I came across David Bowie's Life on Mars, which kind of just opened the doors for me. And then from there I kind of really became interested in rock music and glam rock and all the kind of subsets of it, and then popular music as well. Mm-hmm. And so then I was like, well, I already play piano because I'd started playing when I was like, that high. And I just thought, well, let's have a play. Mm-hmm. And I kind of started just with put the pedal on, just feeling about with chords and so on, and making more kind of ambient sounds more than anything than constructions in terms of chords and riffs. But it wasn't enough, so I continued on from there to begin to create songs, and the songs were weird as hell because I knew nothing about music. Right. I say knew, I still know nothing about music.
Does anybody though, really?
Yeah.
Like we're all kind of we're all kind of working, but you never really feel like you've mastered it because you should always be putting yourself in a position where you're challenging yourself and doing new stuff anyway. So I get it.
Yeah. And so kind of from there, I then started to sing as well, because I couldn't play any instrument for love nor money. Okay. And so, I mean, I still played piano, but going on from that, around, I think it was 2018, 2019, I kind of reformed with a bunch of friends that I'd previously worked with. And we started to create this project with these songs. And it developed in a peculiar way, as you can probably guess. Yep. And so we started working on these songs that I'd kind of written years and years ago. And I kind of gave them the skeletons of the songs. And they would take these things and flesh them out and make them much more whole and complete. So that was really nice to see something that I'd created become more than what I'd created. Yeah. And we worked on these songs, and a theme came about capitalism, and because I think the nature of society that we're in at the moment, these songs became quite reflective of that. And so from that...
You're kind of getting ahead of me, mate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ask all these questions.
I'm just giving you the whole story. But you said from the womb till now.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. I'll take that one on the chin. Because, well, look, you're getting ahead, right? Yeah. So I'll ask you then, right? Because I think there is a difference between... So in 2020, you had Golden Heart.
Yeah, that was released, yeah.
And Golden Heart is very much sort of piano-led, mainly piano-led.
Yeah.
And it's all very sort of like ballady and...
It's chamber pop. It's like soft kind of,
and when I listen to it, I kind of got like sort of like Rufus Wainwright-y kind of vibes.
Oh, yeah.
But I suppose my question is, because I think you were just about to get there, was how the fuck did you get from Golden Heart to this? What happened in 2020? What happened in those 4 years to get you from that chamber pop piano stuff to that dirty glam stuff that is happening now? What happened?
Well, I lost it during COVID.
Didn't we all?
Didn't we all, yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, Golden Heart was always going to be just something for me to prove to myself, no, I can do this. This is fine. I can manage this. and they were songs that I was really happy with, and kind of they were much more reflective of a kind of emotional nature. And what I discovered through that was that that's really difficult to listen back to. So I was like, okay, so put this to the side, let's move on and try something new. And I've always loved rock music, so it just made sense to go, okay, compartmentalize, move on, create something new, because that's what excites me most, is just experimenting and playing with sound and just seeing what comes through. And I think that for me, that's kind of the most exciting thing.
So it was like a sort of like a new era of David Leon.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. It was a rebrand.
Yeah. No, that's cool. But are some of those songs from Golden Heart still in the set now? Is that still there?
Yeah. So the biggest one from Golden Heart was Over and Over, and somewhat ironically, it seems that we're destined to play that over and over, which I love. I mean, it's my probably one of my favourites from that EP. So it's nice to link it back to something that was, but bring it in a fresh light, because we now do it in a completely different manner from the recorded version, and in due course it may be that we release like a different version of it again, like an anniversary cut or something. But we're looking at maybe bringing back 2016 as well. The year was 2016, because that's a fun song and it might just fit in.
Cool. So look, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the theatricality to what you're doing, right? And I think it's something that is rare nowadays, and I say that as a compliment. I think that there's not enough theatricality to music nowadays. You're very hard to kind of pigeonhole, which is great. So, but I understand that there is a character that you like to play on stage. So why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So during the creation of these songs, I realised that the best way to go about bringing these songs to life was through a character, which I hadn't really done for Golden Heart, but it just made sense for this set of songs, which has become the Interrobang EP, album even. And so I'd written a song called All Hail the Neo-Nasties a long time ago, about 10 years ago now. Or rather, it took 10 years to write, because kind of little bits and pieces of it formulated, and they kind of gravitated towards each other and melded and became this terrifying creature. And I do say terrifying because the band are terrified. And so they should be. It's bloody scary. But I think that was the song whereby I realised that this character was evil. This character was money mad. He was vicious and selfish, and the perfect politician, apparently.
Clearly.
Yeah. And so the Kleptocrat was born, and he came very much through the lyric writing process of All Hail, because I think I wrote the lyrics to that song, no underestimation, of about 20 to 30 times.
Right.
Complete rewrites. So yeah, he was kind of formed during that really long, prolonged period of creation. And so from there, I took the character and thought, okay, so what does this character look like? What kind of values does it have?
Yep.
And so this is what we're left with.
So my question then is what is the overarching message with this character then? Like, what are you trying to say?
Be afraid.
Be afraid.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because things, if you allow politics and governments and all of these figures and points of authority, a lack of feedback and making sure that they are doing what the people want, then as we've seen, they will run riot, run circles around you, and nick off with all of your money.
Quite right. Amen. Amen. So now we must survive.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's sort of, that links in with what we were just talking about. And I suppose you've probably already answered the question, but what is it that we need to survive?
Well, the apocalypse, it would seem, yes. Which we are kind of running straight towards.
It certainly feels like it sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. It was originally called the Scottish Song because it has like a really kind of Scottish feel to it. There's like bits of Scotch snaps and all that kind of thing through it. And at the end, I do a little Scottish jig.
Nice.
But originally, it was based around the yes/no kind of argument. And so the song is split into these two halves, and there's two battling guitars throughout it as well. And so I really wanted the song to embody that split personality kind of thing. Which Scotland, really suffered from for a long time, and you could argue still is.
Does, yeah.
And so from there, we then kind of focused in a little bit more on actually, although this would be a wonderful idea, perhaps it's not right for this song. So the song kind of evolved past that in the lyric writing, and became much more a reflection of the environment and what happens if you don't look after the planet. So although we started with this really strong, this is what the song is about, this is what it embodies, it kind of turned on its head and became something entirely different, which was a nice evolution for me. It was interesting to see how that developed.
Cool. And from Golden Heart to now, what do you think you've learned most as a musician? What have you learned most?
Listen to your musicians.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think Golden Heart, I went in with a really strong sense of, this is what we'll do. This is how we'll do it. And although it turned out really lovely, I think that when it's come to this, I've realised actually the best thing to do is to allow the people that you work with as much freedom as you can possibly allow them. And that's so difficult as a songwriter, as I'm sure you're aware of, that these are your children and you're kind of going, do what you like. But what comes back is so much greater than what you put in when you allow other people to put themselves in these songs as well. Yeah,
I think there needs to be an element of, you need to be okay with somebody saying something you've created isn't great.
Yeah.
And that they think something could be better.
Yeah.
And I think if you're, I think you'll agree that if you're sensitive to that sort of thing, then you probably shouldn't be in a band, because you need to be okay with criticism, I suppose, is what you're saying. No, I totally agree. So, right, you've got an album coming out.
I do.
You did mention it, and again, you kind of got ahead of me there, mate. Tell us about the album. So, first of all, what is this album called? You said the word earlier on, and I was like, hold on. I've only seen it in text form.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is, right now, we're going to get something up on screen that will have the title of the album, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Get that up on screen now, Adam. Now. And then you can say what the thing on screen right now means.
Interrobang.
Interrobang.
That's the ticket.
Love that. What the fuck is that?
An interrobang is an exclamation mark, question mark. Sometimes conjoined at the dot, or sometimes split.
I did not do standard grade English, clearly. Or didn't listen in standard grade English.
Well, I didn't know what it was until I kind of just stumbled across it.
Yeah.
So, it's a reflection of kind of the nature of these songs. It's supposed to be the songs I want people to kind of be taken a little bit aback by.
It really does kind of marry up with that stark contrast between Golden Heart and Interrobang.
Yeah.
Then, no, that's good. That's great. So, well, when is it out?
Well, we're looking at probably a week past the album launch gig. I'm going to try and get some possible physical copies out so that people can listen a week before it's out.
Love that.
So
Cool.
yeah.
And so what's down the pipeline then? So you've got, so that the album's coming, you're going to be playing at the Classic Grand.
Yeah.
So after that, is there going to be other singles? Like, are you going to be, like, what's happening for the rest of the year? Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got enough to work with for a little while. I want to really flesh out this character and work with the band on these songs and see how they evolve, because the songs are still evolving.
Yep.
We might have recorded the album, but I mean, I said to the band when we travelled to Harris and Lewis at Black Bay to record it, I said, this is going to be a snapshot of these songs in time, because Drew kept saying, Drew's the bassist, and he would always say, oh, every time we do these songs, we do them differently. And I was like, I think that's just how these songs are. They're, you know, they're mutations, and you know, they're evolving and progressing. So yeah, I think we're going to stick with these songs for probably the next year.
Yeah.
You know, we'll throw in some different covers here and there. We recently added in Rebel Rebel, because it's 30 years since the Rebel Rebel was released.
Yep.
So that was quite fun to bring in. So yeah, I think we'll be doing different bits of covers. But after this, there's another character planned in the far future.
No way, really?
Yeah.
I love that. Right, cool, very exciting. So look, you mentioned it there, and I think I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask. So recording the album, you recorded it away up north. You said it was in Harris, and where?
Harris and Lewis.
Harris and Lewis.
The
right,
island,
okay.
yeah.
Sounds like a sort of upmarket, like apothecary or something. But anyway, Harris and Lewis. Anyway, but yeah. So, but I remember seeing a video of you walking about rather swampy conditions, looking as fabulous as you do now, and the one thing that was going through my head was that boy needs some wellies. But tell us about the recording process then. Like, why are we up there?
Yeah, so I mean, I am really difficult and fastidious. I'm not an easy person to please by any means. I'm always very particular in how I want something to be done, if it's going to be done right. And so we're all really busy people in this band. We all have our own lives.
Yep.
And so I knew that if I was going to get the best out of everyone, I'd need to just cut them off from civilization and trap them on an island.
I like that. That sounds very much like what I would expect from you, to be honest. Trap them.
Yeah.
I love that.
But yeah, I think when I looked at Black Bay, it was just such a fabulous studio. And the night that we arrived, we entered the studio, and Pete Fletcher, the owner, was there. And he was like, oh, hi guys, so here's the studio, and, I'll see you about. And immediately the band just like flooded into the place, like children going, oh my God, look at this place, it's amazing. And it was, and it is, it's a fantastic studio, and I am so privileged to have spent time there.
So how long did it take to get the album done then?
We were at Black Bay for a week, yeah.
Right, cool.
So we did 6 songs in 7 days,
right.
So no pressure.
Yeah, cool. Nice one, man, nice one. So I want to ask you now about just sort of general sort of music industry stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, and I tend to ask every band these questions, mainly just because I think everybody might give me a different answer, and I think that's quite interesting. But nowadays we're sort of in a period now, or it looks like we're moving into a period where it seems like your online content, your TikToks and all that stuff, is becoming just as or more important than the music. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that, or do you think that the music will always prevail?
I think it's a difficult question to answer, because I think it means different things for different people. So for me as an artist and a songwriter and a singer, the music has always got to come first. That is the art.
Yeah. But do you feel like it's a constant fight against the other side of that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, the social media content is essentially a function, and the purpose of it is to pull people into the music. Unfortunately, there's no money in music anymore. There's nothing. You don't get money from online streaming.
The
Somewhat ironically.
Yeah.
There's no money in streaming. There's almost no money in gigging. The only way that you get money nowadays is through merch. Unless you've got like big, massive record deals and so forth. So it's a way of pulling people into a brand, essentially. And because I am very heavily stylized, for me, I actually quite enjoy creating the online content. Not to say that it's any good, but it's good fun.
It is.
Oh, stop it, you. So yeah, I really enjoy creating like videos and using the music against the imagery, because I think of that as an extension of the music itself and the performance. Just because it's recorded doesn't mean that it's not performance. So yeah, I really quite enjoy the social media content. I know that for some people it is an absolute ball ache, but I think that if you are really seriously going to try and make something of your music, then you're going to have to accept that this is one of the necessary evils of music.
And roll with the times.
Pretty much.
Yeah. No, that's a good answer. Good answer. So what do you think is the most difficult thing about being a musician nowadays?
Not being poor.
yeah, pretty much.
It's just like a pit to throw money at if you want to. I mean, you can go and busk and do gigs here and there and and not put any money into it if you want. But if you're as part of a band, you've got recording costs, you've got rehearsal costs, you've got everything, all these things adding up on top of each other. So yeah. I'd say that's probably the most challenging thing, other than, of course, people's lives, trying to organise things. Of
course, quite right. Okay, and technology nowadays, right? So what we're starting to see now is things like artificial intelligence, right? And it's not only sort of becoming really prevalent in music, but just in daily life.
Yeah.
We're using it for fucking everything now. But knowing that you could literally just go and type in whatever and it will make a song with somebody's voice or whatever. Do you think that could be, that could be the enemy of artistry? Do you think that could potentially take the soul out of music that's going to be created going forward?
I think artificial intelligence is a tool. And like any tool, it has the potential to devastate or enhance. So I personally think that AI is probably a really interesting tool to use in terms of working out, alternative chord progressions or like randomly generating lyrics, or even like trying to organize, your day as a musician. So I think that these people are like, oh no, the end is nigh, I think that's maybe a little bit excessive. Because I mean, you look at Andy Warhol, for instance, that's mass-produced art. And it's just going to be the same again. We're just experiencing another revolution. We've been through this before. We'll come through out of it. The world will never be the same again. But it is what it is, and you just have to cope with it because it's here and it's happening.
And I suppose art will change with that revolution as well. And no, that's cool. I like that. Right. So, last two questions. Right. What do you want people to take away from your music?
Oh, that's a difficult one. A sense of enjoyment, maybe look at the world in a slightly different way. I think, if you're listening to the music itself, then enjoy yourself, be happy, or be angry, whatever it inspires you to do. Feel something. If people aren't feeling things from music, then I'm not doing my job. And in terms of lyrics, then watch out.
Watch out. And you may well have answered this already in that question there, and that's probably my fault as an interviewer. But how do you want your music to be remembered?
Interestingly.
Okay, cool.
If it's not interesting, then there's no point in doing it. It has to be. I've always thought that the most interesting music for me is music that arrests you. It has to grab you and go, listen to me. So I would quite like for my music to either to shock or to be something that just people go, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think as long as I'm creating new and interesting things and people come away from it and remember, do you know what? That was really odd, but I kind of liked it.
Cool.
Then I'm happy.
Can we make that this episode's inspirational quote? If it ain't fucking interesting, don't do it, kids. Right? There you go. David, first of all, thank you for coming in. It's been good.
It's been a pleasure.
And it's been definitely the most interesting interview that we've done. Certainly the most fabulous.
Stop it, you. Flattery will get you everywhere.
So thank you. Right, so shall we just remind everybody what you've got going on?
Yeah.
So you've got... You tell them.
I'll tell them.
I just realised this is your shit.
Well,
you tell them.
Perfect kleptocrat. You do my work for me. So yeah, I've got the Classic Grand on Friday the 5th of July. Be there and be terrified. And the Interrobang album is coming up in 3 weeks. So yeah, look out.
Interrobang, and remember, kids, if it ain't interesting, don't fucking do it. And also, the thing that we learned today is that an exclamation mark and
question mark
is Interrobang. So there you go. Everybody, thanks for watching. Again, this is pretty much the start of season 2. And we've got loads of more of these to come. So like and subscribe and all the usual stuff. And we will see you very soon. David, do you want to say something before we go?
Make good choices.
Love it. Cheers. Thank you.